Well, guys, I'm back, and it's almost fitting that I return to talk about Chemtrails over the Country Club, Lana Del Rey's 7th studio album. Before I get into the album, I just really want to acknowledge Lana Del Rey herself, because she herself contextualizes how I feel about this album. Lana Del Rey is no stranger to controversy, from critics tearing apart her persona in her earlier days, to her recent unsavory public statements, a question for the culture. It's almost like this irremovable aspect of her artistry and a testament to her ability to really get under people's skin, which is why I find it so funny that other artists would really try to frame their art around this public crisis, while Chemtrails Over the Country Club merely ignores all of that. Chemtrails Over the Country Club is a really modest country folk album, which really lets its music speak for itself. No, it's never gonna try to be Norman fucking Rockwell. It doesn't even try to reach the heights of what many consider her magnum opus or whatever. Instead, Lana really delivers an atmospheric vibe, really letting us into her inner world through her lyrics. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. Prior to this album, she released a poetry book, Violets Bent Backwards Over the Grass, a very wordy, dense pastiche of imagery and wonder. Chemtrails Over the Country Club continues these themes while rewarding longtime listeners who have actively listened to Lana. I just really want to bring up Yosemite, which was originally cut for Lust for Life, her last true foray into more traditional pop sounds. She mentioned in an interview way back in 2017 that it had been cut due to being way too happy and she wasn't there emotionally yet to give it to us. So the inclusion of this track is more or less a confirmation that this may be the very first album that Lana Del Rey has released happy. I really bring up the fact that this album is more or less a reward to longtime fans because it evokes the same energy as her often forgotten debut album, aka, before the avant-garde bluster of Born to Die's dissection of the Americana daydream. AKA was more or less Lana's true first attempt at showing us that she was meant to become one of America's greatest modern songwriters. And perhaps for the first time, we really finally get to see the summation of her goals. Here in Chemtrails, she succeeds at that goal wholeheartedly, running a victory lap after NFR quieted the storm of her detractors. Jack Antonoff returns to primarily co-produce this album, a very wise choice, and while this album is not her greatest work by far, it's actually the freest I've ever heard of her. I'm going to briefly touch upon each track before assigning this album a score at the end, so let's just get into it. White Dress is an adventurous opener to the album. It's very delicate, mostly carried by Lana Del Rey's very powerful vocal affectations. The way that she sings her words, each syllable really empowers what on paper is a simple memory of a time long gone past. There's something weirdly cinematic about her working as a waitress only at 19, feeling like a god being seen by her older lover. I mean, it really continues themes that she's gone over before, but just the affectations of her voice when she's singing the chorus, very powerful stuff. The title track of the album, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, had a gorgeous music video, despite feeling like one of the weaker tracks off the record for me. Despite that, I really enjoy the melancholic wanderlust for times long gone, and the imagery of being a simple purveyor of a simple suburban summer, the meaningless niceties and wanting more. Tulsa Jesus Freak, aka the original title track of this record, White Hot Summer, is probably one of the strongest tracks off the record, and one of the more upbeat tracks. Lana's voice is just smooth as silk here, the instrumental is on point, the pronunciation of Arkansas. Honestly, 10 out of 10 highlight for me. I love this track so much, it is perfect. First listen, I just fell in love with it. Like, come on, guys. Which is why it's kind of a vibe killer that Let Me Love You Like a Woman comes after. I mean, let's be real. It was a serviceable lead single, and it's a solid all-around track, but I will never forget that ugly-ass pic art album cover, or the fact that she did a really weird performance on Jimmy Fallon or whatever, or the fact that it makes me want to listen to NFR all over again. It's just a really weak track. I do get why it was released. It's a nice little teaser, but it just doesn't fit the record at large for me. Wild at Heart is another standout track for me. The transition from the first verse to the chorus, the way it ascends, it surprises you. You can just feel her grow more confident in herself as she sings. It's like a musical performance. Jack's production really gives her the ability to sell her emotion. The outro reminds me of nights in bars I've never lived myself, and the sample of How to Disappear from NFR implies that the song continues continues that storyline. Dark but just a game, this track again plays with expectations. The verses don't quite belong to the chorus itself, which kind of feels out of place, but it really underscores Lana's ability to surprise us all. Her choruses really blossom out of this dark ambience, which really proves the title true in this case. Not All Who Wander Are Lost really returns back to more simple instrumentation. Here she really leans into the country folk aspect of this album. The chorus is very gorgeous between its vocal layerings and the use of her timbre. Not really much to write home about, but not a terrible track either. Now, Yosemite is that girl. She is another favorite of mine. It's nice to really break apart Antonoff's cohesive sound with a return to Rick Noel's production. Rick Noel really worked on a lot of her albums in the past. I really do miss his sort of energy, but I understand why she decided to go with Jack for these projects. The chorus itself is really immaculate, and I understand now why she put the song on the album, because it just fits it thematically and vibe-wise. This song actually precedes Mariner's apartment complex, but her calling back to the candles in the wind, like her mind, like honestly, like, okay, so there's a reason why I'm a total hoe for people like Lana and Taylor. I just love the fact that they call back to lyrics and themes that they've touched on before. It feels like we're reading a book, except it's for our ears, you know? Breaking Up Slowly with Nikki Lane is a lovely duet with complementary voices and sharp lyricism. I did end up googling who Tammy Wynette was because, you know, I don't know old people shit, and her relationship to George Jones is just tragic. Like, I totally get the song now within that context. Extremely unfortunate. Dance Till We Die has to be my favorite track off the record. Like, in whole, it's Lana at her best. The lyrics are so specific and descriptive. I think the chorus really captures the thesis statement as an artist so well, like, but the transition when she goes down to Woodside, like, if you've heard the track, you know what I mean. It just becomes so jazzy. This track is her at her best. She just sounds so alive in this track. Like, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. It is a song that you will go on journeys with. So definitely listen to this track. If you don't listen to any other track, Dance Till We Die. And then the album kind of closes on a reinterpretation of Joni Mitchell's For Free, which every Lana record has to have a beautiful cover. We all know this. If you've listened to Lana, she always ends or does a cover at some point. Joined by ZELLA Day and WEYES Blood, the song really hammers in the theme of the record, Lana's personal freedom, artistically achieved. The original track is about Joni Mitchell actually pondering about how the street musician plays for the sake of playing, as she plays for fame and fortune. But the ultimate conclusion here is that Lana is affirming to us that she does this for the art. You know, like, at this point, after so much bluster and noise, and she'll continue to be controversial, she is here to ultimately write music and express herself through those means. It's not really chasing the zeitgeist anymore so much as just expressing herself, and we have to accept that, even if she does have her problematic moments. I will say, though, that this record is a solid 8.5 out of 10. I adore it, despite it being relatively short and having a few lapses here and there. I cannot wait to see if she continually evolves as an artist, but if this is really her final form, we're in good hands, guys. So yeah, I'm back, kind of, not really. I'm not sure how often I'm gonna post. I'm gonna try to post weekly, guys, believe me, but I've just been caught up with, like, personal life projects and kind of trying to find out what I want to do with this channel and what I want to do with my life and, you know, all the stuff or whatever, but I'm gonna be way more casual with videos. And a big shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting me. I am so sorry that I went AWOL for nearly 3 months. Don't worry, baby. I got you guys. I'm back, kinda, and I will be posting for y'all. Thank you so much, and I will see you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. You know what? I'll see you guys. I'll see you.